Today on In the Woodyard, Jake's here and he brought a brand new machine. So you drove up from Iowa this morning.
You bet.
So you left at like early.
Oh, it wasn't too bad. You're not that far from us.
About 5 hours, yeah, about a 5 hour
just under, yep.
Yep. So this just kind of happened. This wasn't really planned. We thought this was going to be a month from now, maybe even 2 months from now because of your rotation with stock. But the machine that I've been using, the 1520 plus HP, you got a guy that wants it right now.
Yeah, he wanted it last week, but yes. So that machine, we were planning on getting you a B18HP. We're planning on about a month from now, but we had the opportunity to sell that in a pinch here to help a guy out. And then this machine was actually the one that was just at the Tennessee show here. Right. I guess that's been 2 weeks ago already.
Yeah.
It was actually designed to get delivered to a customer, but he had made some changes, want some things, and he was willing to wait now for us to build another one in place of the one that we had coming through slotted for you. So here we are today. So you get this one.
We got a bigger, better, faster, meaner, high production machine, and we've got a load of logs back there, and so this will be fun. We're going to be able to, like Jake saw the piling, he says, well, that'll last about an hour.
Yeah, we're going to do the rest of the day.
yeah, because it is a faster machine. The little bit of playing I did with it, when August and I were down at your plant, I could tell right away it was like, wow, it was very impressive. It's a lot faster. Everything about it is a screamer. It just goes. So let's talk about kind of the big differences between the 1520 that I've got now in this machine as far as output. That machine, from what I remember on your specs, you said what, is it a cord and a half?
Oh, the HP 1520 plus, we rate it 2+ cord per hour.
And that's if you got really good wood and you're not having any problems. And a lot of people don't get that.
Keeping the deck loaded.
Yeah, that's and a good operator and everything, that's what you can do. And I would agree with that, because when we're running pretty good wood, taking my time, not hurrying, a cord and a half is pretty easy. And if you got really good wood and the guy keeps you loaded, that's usually the problem we have. Is my brother's over in the woods doing something, so I have to flag him down. I'm out of wood. But yeah, I would say 2. You could do 2 if you everything was going good. That's possible. And then this does what?
We rate this one at 4+.
So it's twice as fast.
Yep, it's another one. Obviously barring wood quality, but when we were out in Oregon working with reject telephone poles, we put well over a cord in, probably under 12 minutes. But you're talking symmetrical telephone poles that are 20 foot long, no bark, just, it's softwood, it's dug first, so you're
like cutting butter.
Just screaming. Yeah, exactly.
It must have been fun to run that stuff.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, we don't get stuff like that back home. So
No, yeah. You've only got 3 trees in the state. I've been there. So we got a lot of trees here. But yeah, we got a lot of crooked stuff. And farther north you go in Wisconsin, there's some very good stands of timber, but there's also some nasty stuff. Where my brother Ken lives, it's considered a low quality area, and he gets a lot of snaky, a lot of trees with a lot of arch to them or sweep. We call them bananas, and then a lot of limmy stuff too.
Is that just due to the density and stuff not having been cleared, or what?
It's just lower quality soils, one thing. Another thing is consistency of logging, and that they don't, and a lot of the state forests and national forests, they don't get logged as good as they should. They'll do a clear cut and they take everything. Well, you're taking all the stuff out, so you're going to get some bad ones, and a lot of that will go for pulpwood or for firewood, things like that. And then the other problem they have is there were some storms that came through back long time ago and blew a lot of stuff down, so a lot of the trees have a lot of sweep to them. A lot of them got pushed sideways, so then they start growing.
They growed up straight.
Yeah, so it's just not a good timber area right where he is. But then a lot of the problem too is the management of the forest. To manage it properly, you need to do select cuts several times throughout the tree's lifespan. As far as that particular stand of wood, you always take out the inferior stuff, always let the good stuff grow in. And when you do the final cut, then you're talking lumber grade, veneer grade, the really good stuff. And then if you're at a plantation, they're going to groom it specifically to be straight, tall, limbless, and there's a lot to it.
That was neat out in Oregon. We're from Iowa, so bear with us. But,
corn.
Right, yeah, corn. That's about all there is. But there was a lot of signs on the interstate that showed where, this timber was cleared back in '99, and you would never know it. It just looked.
Yeah, I've mentioned that several times on my channel when I'm talking with people. Is that average person that visits an area, say once every 5 or 10 years, and they see big, huge, mature trees, and they come through 5 years later and it's gone. And they're like, oh no, the carnage, you know, terrible. They killed all the trees.
Best thing you can do.
Yeah, it all grows back. It all grows. It's the most renewable resource on the planet.
Yep.
And then they come back 10 years and the trees are all this big, and it's like, oh, that looks nice. Then they come back 10 years later and it's 20 years and they're like this. Then they come back another 20 years, which is probably almost ready to harvest again, especially if it's a plantation. So we have a weird way of looking at things because nature is just always going. So
Yeah.
anyway, you're here to talk about this though.
Yeah, no,
so
no,
we just got off the road, but we're just chatting.
Yeah.
So let's do a little walk around and talk about all the things that are different about this as far as, you know, what's changed. I guess more than that, just let's talk about how this is a new machine for you guys. This is from ground up. This is like never existed before. This was your first big project, right?
This is our first in-house engineering innovation. Yep, from the ground up. So
well, let's do a little walk around then.
Yeah, you bet. So B18HP, you just noted our first new machine from the ground up was released to the public back last October at the Paul Bunyan show. It's a totally different animal than the 1520 plus HP that you've been used to running, but it was really kind of started with our 1820 frame, but it, you know, still a lot different machine than what the 1820 was. So the first thing we did is we heightened it, and the biggest reason is we wanted to get a taller push plate on there, so that really we could utilize the 16-way wedge is what we were.
So was the live deck like another 6-8 inches or something, or?
Yeah, well, originally it was about another 4 inches taller, and then we since added another 2 inches to it. Once we got the prototypes back and kind of reworked them, we did increase the height on them an additional 2 inches, so they're roughly 6 inches taller. So we start right up here in the front with the power plant. You know, we have our 74 horse Doosan or Hyundai that we're utilizing here. So same horsepower as we're using on our largest 2222, and not the exact same pump because we're using different fitting sizes, but the same output pump as our 2222. So our biggest machine, we basically have, you know, the same pump configuration on here. So we're doing, you know, between these two pump sections here, 80 gallon a minute. Then we have a third pump section here that's closer to 10 gallon a minute, and then we have an auxiliary pump on the other side of the engine that we're using really just for our elevator functions. So we're close to, you know, almost 100 gallon a minute between all the pump sections combined. But the biggest thing that we did to speed this up or make it faster is we made a lot of enhancements to the saw. Simple things like sprocket changes to begin with, and then just we got rid of a lot of hydraulic restrictions and getting flow back to the tank easier to get more speed. But what we're doing here basically with our split boost function, we can look at that, talk about it, but we went from, you know, let's just talk about our 2222, having the air return single acting valve for the extend, air retract. We're now hydraulic extend, hydraulic retract, and with our split boost engage, we're under 3 seconds with that. And what we're doing is basically taking both pump sections here, 40 gallon a minute one, 40 gallon a minute on the other, and sending all 80 gallon a minute to that splitting cylinder when we call for it. So that's where we're getting our speed. The nice thing with this system that I've kind of learned about from being around other machines is we can shut that off and slow it down if we need to. So if you're running a really ugly piece through there and you know there might be problems, or when you're cleaning out the wedge, it's nice, you don't want that thing even at an idle slamming back and forth. So you can turn that off and get, you know, what we'd call our normal, you know, 4.5 5 second cycle time out of that splitting cylinder. So.
And then what are you getting for pressure, your hydraulic pressure on your ram? Is it 30 something?
Nope. So our valves, we've traditionally always ran a 3000 PSI splitting valve, but we always turn it down to 2300 on all of our other machines, just because that covers 95% of what people are doing. Right. But we bumped this one up to 2700 PSI. So.
Okay, so how many tons does that
we're just technically right under 30, but we had the capability to get up to 30 if we break it down.
You hear 30 a lot, and I have found that some of the bigger machines I've seen run, you really don't need it 99% of the time. And if you have more, you think you can do more, and then what happens, you try to ram a piece of crud through it, and then what happens is problems.
Yeah, and I always tell guys, because they'll be looking at a machine and they're like, well, they say theirs is a 40 ton. Well, if you have a 5-inch cylinder, doesn't matter whose it is, you only have so much surface area on that piston, and you're only working with so much pressure, and generally 3,000 is a max because that's what most common pumps are rated for, max.
Sure.
And most of your generic hydraulic hoses are rated for, 3,500 or 4,000 max.
Sure.
So a 5-inch splitting cylinder at 3,000 psi is basically 30 tons. So until you go to larger diameter with more surface area, you're not going to get more splitting force. So.
All right. So then this has the live deck. Obviously, it's a manual fold down each section.
Yep.
But there's no legs, so it's all open underneath.
Yep. So very similar to our 1820, we have the 3-strand deck. We can accommodate 24-foot log length on here, and then they're manual fold. They're very easy to fold down.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get worried about that, and they see, and we do offer a wider 8-foot deck that's hydraulic folding, but you can see here to get this in and out of transport, that's all there is to it. So it's still just a matter of a couple minutes being able to.
So then is that a 6-foot?
This is 6 foot. Yep.
So
correct.
you do have availability to go up to 8 then.
8.
And
Yep.
that, and then that's hydraulically.
Yep. When you go to 8 foot, you automatically get hydraulic fold. Just because we keep our same pivot point here, we just add length to our strand. So by that time, it's getting heavy enough that.
And when you say
you probably had Kenny has no problem muscling it up, but us guys.
No, it's nice to have it easy. So then all 3 operate at once with the hydraulic?
Correct. Yep. Yep. There's one common leg that connects all 3 of them.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought so. All right. And then you were telling me that this is a 10,000 pound axle and you guys are under 10,000 for the machine, so.
Yep.
good there.
8K on the axle, under 10K because we're carrying weight up on the hitch as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that works then.
Heavier axle, larger tire than what we've
so
used in the past.
you could technically pull this with a 1/2 ton if you had to, but you probably wouldn't like it, is my guess. Because most 1/2 tons are rated around 10 to 11.
Yep. I think mine's rated for almost 13, the EcoBoost I have.
Oh,
but, yeah, it's the weight. You gotta, it's one thing pulling it, but stopping you and having larger brake calipers and stuff on a 3/4 ton are of value. But yeah, you could. You're gonna squat it because we're carrying some tongue weight on there.
Yeah.
Yep. Operator station.
Yeah.
No different than any of our other machines. We still give you a seat. You can see that this one actually has a platform. Again, kind of playing off our 1820 and 1820 plus designs, or 2220 as well, even 2222. But you have an actual platform here. And then, the biggest thing we've done is just clean things up, new decals all the way across the machine. Mm-hmm. You got your splitter handle here, auto cycle or auto return. We're not using air, we're using hydraulics, so dual valve.
And that valve there, when I was at your plant, Jeff showed me his design he had with his detent invention. That's pretty cool.
Yep, so this is the newer, better design. It's more accessible should we need to adjust detents and all that as well. Yeah. We have our gauge cluster, so all of our other generations, what I call, I guess, our legacy models now, they all utilize the gauges, but they're all in different spots on the machine. Right. So saw pivot's the biggest one that we pay attention to, or the one that might require adjustment. I think you had that, but
yeah, when we had some real dry, big ash, it wasn't quite enough. Yeah.
Yep. So to be able to see what that reading was, you would have had to have somebody on the back side of the machine while you ran the clamp or the actual saw function to see what that reads. So now we made it a one-person.
And you made it an easy adjustment with just a simple valve, right?
Correct. Yep. So that's the other thing. Now you've got a valve bank instead of having all your different locations all over. Your clamp pressures here, which we really shouldn't ever need to mess with. But your saw pivot pressure's right here, and on this valve block design here, it's actually toolless, so you don't need Allen wrench or anything.
Nice.
So, yep.
And then you've got the same type of electronic panel for starting. It's basically the same as the other machines.
Yep, correct. One thing we've done too, so this does still have the air compressor on it because we use it for our saw bar retract. So we're one of the ones that have been using air in conjunction with our hydraulic system for a very long time, since the beginning, going back to Tim's first machine. Mm-hmm. We do still use it so that when we let go of our clamp lever or our saw function, as soon as you let go, there's constant air pressure on the rod end of that saw bar cylinder, so it automatically retracts for us. But we have since put a compressor indicator in there that just lets you know when the compressor's on or off. It shouldn't hardly ever run. So if you see that light on, much often at all, we know that there's probably a leak in the system. We just need to figure out where it's at quick. So
one of the things I noticed, the little bit of running I did when I was at your place, when August was down at your place too, is how easily accessible it is to get into the splitting chamber compared to not your machines, but other machines that I've run that are bigger. It's right there. I mean, have a seat there and just show everybody.
Yeah, we can't talk to this enough. It's something everyone needs to pay attention to, because I don't care what color your machine is, ours, theirs, whose, you're always going to be in there.
Yeah.
And this is one thing, we added the halo for the structure to support the 16-foot attached elevator on here. But this has actually been nice because we've widened this a lot on our other machines with platforms where we still have a sliding Lexan guard here. It's kind of narrow, so if you're broad shouldered, it is hard to get in there, but you're literally right here in front of the action. So if something just hardly falls, you can reach right in there.
That is so nice.
Shut the door and you're off to the races.
That is nice. And that just runs on some nylon
There's
wheels,
some poly wear
bushings.
pads under there, and the little bit more sawdust you get underneath them, the easier she slides.
Really?
So, yeah,
Really? I suppose you get a little bar oil flying in there too. Speaking of bar oil, tell everybody about the bar oil system here, because a lot of people don't know that this is unique.
You bet. No different than our other machines. Going back to the dawn of time, really, a Blockbuster, we use our ATF to lubricate our bar and chain. So we have one common hydraulic fluid, or ATF tank. We use Dex 3. You can utilize hydraulic fluid if you choose. It just works better in colder climates. Just a little bit thinner viscosity, and it does what we need it to do. But the nice thing is with that, when your saw motor kicks on, we're energizing this brass valve here at the same time. This is whatever we let go by here is what lubricates our bar and chain. And the nice thing about that is you're only oiling the bar and chain when it needs it. So it's not like a gravity feed system where it's just constantly dripping, or an electric pulsing unit that's constantly pulsing. It's only sending oil when it's required.
I'm sure it's similar to the other machines that I've run. It's basically you get it tight where there's no flow, and it's maybe a quarter of a turn. That's all you need.
Yeah, it's not much. It's finicky. It's finicky. It doesn't take much. Try to set it when the oil is at operating temp. And just leave it, and you don't.
And just watch. I found that when you're running, you just watch the bottom of your bar between the sprocket and the bar. And if there's just a little drip every once in a while, that's all you need. Because if you go more, you need a spray everywhere.
Yep, absolutely. The other nice thing is you're never changing hydraulic fluid. You're just
putting new stuff in, and so you're basically putting fresh in all the time. And I have found that the 1520, I had to figure which model it was. The 1520, when I'm running it, I think I put in maybe half a gallon a day.
It doesn't.
It is not much.
Doesn't take much. You're not using much more oil than
$7 a day.
Yeah, and that's a full day.
And that's running. That's making, like when we were running, that's like two of those big cones over there is about 4 hours per cone, something like that. I don't know, maybe 3.5 if you got really good wood.
20 minutes now with this machine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this will be faster.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now the next thing, obviously, is the elevator.
Yep. So 16-foot attached hydraulic pivoting elevator. So we'll obviously get set up here after a little while and run that. But
that's gonna be a different video. They got to come back.
There we go.
Right now,
we're gonna hold them hostage.
Well, the thing is, we're gonna go over so much stuff here that we'll do a separate video for setup, because we don't want this to be a 3-hour video.
Yep. No, the 16-foot attached elevator is something that people have been asking for a very long time. This is something that even Tim wanted to do a long time ago that he never did. So he was excited to see this. But just, more than anything, gives us more height to get into taller trailers or trucks, or making a bigger pile if need be, for what you're doing here without having to move the machine. And then
and that's what we had to do. We have to move the machine for each pile, because you can only go so high. And with this, because it pivots, it's 60 degrees, as you said. I think it's
60 degrees total, so approximately 30 left, 30 right.
So that'll give you, from what I know and talking with Jeff a little bit, the engineer guys at the nerdery, as they call it. He said that they calculated out that it should be about a semi-load you should be able to get in one pile.
I think they used AI a little bit, but they did some engineering calculations with conical piles of green wood and how they should stack or accumulate. But we figured with the 12-foot attached at max height, we were, calculations came up just under 2 full cord, which is probably close to this.
Yeah.
And then this, with the a little bit extra height that we get out of it, and then the ability to pivot 60 degrees, we're close to 14. So getting near that semi-load.
Yeah, because most of the, oak is heavy and hard maple is very heavy. So you're going to get less on a load with that kind of wood versus you would like with pine, or if you're doing a lighter wood like ash is very light wood. Oak, whether it's white, red, if you've got hickory, if you've got hard maple, tends to be very heavy wood. So a 12 cord load is about at the legal limit of what they can
where they're
haul.
hitting the weight.
Right.
Yep.
So, okay, that's neat. And obviously you've got a winch.
Yeah, so we utilize our winch to raise and lower the elevator. And then the other big piece of that is you can see that we're centered, directly above our wedge. You can see we started to put handles in the bottoms of all our wedges now.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be seeing that on all wedges. But yeah, we have the ability to just pull the pin in here or pull the whole assembly out at once. It's nice with the last piece slide table. You can set this on there. The winch does have a remote control that's wireless. So it allows the user really quick to be able to set the elevator down, lower, raise the winch, use that handle to pull it out and away from the machine, and drop it on the ground. And,
very nice.
Repick your other one. So it makes
And
it a
then
one-man
set the other, and one guy can do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and
we
you
did
don't
it at Tennessee a couple times based on.
Right.
Everybody wanted to see the 16-way wedge, but we didn't always have 16-way wedge material wood available to run, so it didn't make sense to be pushing stuff like that through the 16-way when we could hit it with the 8-way and make really nice.
Right.
Symmetrical pie-shaped pieces. So.
And the fact you can change it so fast, and you don't need to have a skid steer or a tractor with forks to lift it out, and
Yep.
and it's and they're manageable size wedges too. I've been asked by guys, how heavy are they? And I'd have to say the other machines that I've had, the 1412 and the 1520, it's easy to jump up in there, grab the wedge, just lift it up, throw it out. And then your next one, you lift up, you get it up on the edge, kind of hold it there. It'll balance by itself if you get the wedge in just right, and then you can go in and lift it up, set it in. You can do it manually. They're not that bad.
Between having to add the halo to get the structure for the elevator and then the changes we've made to the splitting chamber, which is one thing we haven't talked about yet, it's not as conducive to be able to step in there.
Right.
So we felt that was important, that we needed a way to, make that easier for the operator. So, we don't want people climbing on the machines if they don't have to anyways.
Right, well, this is a totally different machine than the other ones are way open. So, but yeah, you can do it if you have to, whereas some other machines, you can't.
Yep.
Because I can't lift 350 pounds, whatever they But these wedges, I think the 8-way weighs, if I was just to guess, 120-ish, somewhere in that range.
I want to say it's 135.
130, okay, yeah, and I can lift that. I don't really like it, but I can do it.
Well, the 16-way is a different story.
Oh, yeah, I believe it,
Yep.
So yeah, and then obviously your winch works for raising and lowering your elevator, and you can use it for lifting and changing your wedge, which, are you guys the only ones that have that now? Because I don't know of anybody
that I'm aware of, yeah.
And then I see lights there, look at that. You got a light package on there. Is that automatic on there, or is that extra?
No, it's an add-on package, Yep. So I think $700 adder, you get those two lights, you get the big floodlight across the front.
Oh, that's what this is right here.
Yeah, and then there's actually a little, I don't know what you call it, like an ambiance light that kind of shines down on the control panel that kind of just, it's not bright, but it's enough to illuminate everything at night so you can.
That means I'm going to have to do some night processing.
Yeah, we won't tell Mary, but yeah, we'll give you an excuse to be out of the house after dark.
Oh, she doesn't care. We've been married forever. She's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And then obviously you got your chute right here.
Yep.
And that's a different design than what you've had. I can see it's
you
quite
can see how much taller it is here.
Yeah.
So we do a better job of capturing that sawdust at all different angles of stroke of the saw bar. And then after the prototypes are out, the one thing people were talking about is how close it was piling stuff up to the machine. So Jeff back there at the nerdery, we made this plate here adjustable so you can lift it up to get it out further.
So you can tip it. Got
it.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So very just simple design.
Is this here for flaps?
We've talked about being able to do some different things. Sawdust collection's one of those projects. It's on the radar, but it's kind of a low priority. But we kind of kept that in mind of being able to do things or put flaps on there.
Sure. Oh, hey, look at that, an air tank.
Yep. So you can see we've done a better job of protecting all of our hydraulics. So you can see we don't carry a lot of electrical components on there, but we've got a nice shield over there. Same thing with this hydraulic block. One nice thing we've done, we do a little bit of 12-volt electric over hydraulic stuff with the split boost function. The nice thing is any of that ever quits working for any reason, you still have full functionality of your machine. We just don't have that super fast speed. So if you, the old mouse chewed a wire, the machine's still functional. You just don't have split boost. The other nice thing from a troubleshooting standpoint is on our valve banks here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it down in there.
Yeah, I can see it.
But we put on those Deutsch connectors, those actually illuminate when they're supposed to have 12 volts. So when you pull that splitter handle, they should illuminate. So just from a troubleshooking standpoint, trying to make things easy.
To know if you've got solid wire.
If we're asking questions, yep, we don't have to pull out a multimeter to know what we're looking at.
This is nice.
Yep.
You got a coupler.
We got a coupler in there, no different than we've done on our other air machines, so you can blow stuff off quick or air up a tire or whatever you need to do. This is, pretty much nothing earth-shattering here. We've just mounted this out closer to the outside of the machine. Our other machines, it's kind of under and hard to get at.
Yeah.
And people always complain that their employees never drain, or crack the valve at the end of the day or beginning of the morning because it's hard to get at. So
How much comes out? Just a little mist? It's usually not much.
Yeah, you're going to get a little bit of hydraulic fluid in there because there's going to be a little bit of blow-by based on you're working with 130 pounds air pressure on one end of a cylinder and 3,000, up to 3,000 on the other end. So you get a little bit of bleed by, but if you open it, it should just be a slight mist. So I don't know if you want to, I don't know if you can catch it or. Yeah, hardly any. Yep, you don't even see it. So.
Right. And then look at that beauty.
Yep. So 16-way wedge. This is something that I've actually been really excited about because we've gotten quite a few of these out there in other machines, not just the B18. If you look at our website, we advertise it on the B18 only. That's because we made a lot of changes to the splitting chamber to better utilize it, but it's the same splitting beam as all of our other machines. So the guys with 1820 pluses, 2220s, this will fit in there. This would fit in your 1520 plus HP. The biggest thing we're going to find on that is that your push plate isn't going to go very high on that machine.
Oh, right.
So it technically fits, but our other offset machines that do utilize the taller push plate, it will fit right in there, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback on this.
And this is the anti-rollover, rollback.
It is, yep. Yeah, with this flare we put on here, this bevel, those top pieces want to curl back, and they you wouldn't ever think so with just that little bevel, but they curl all the way back on themselves and fall back in.
It's wood. Wood does what it wants.
Yep. We'd like to get this wing a little taller to give us more room, but with our auto stop design, we can only raise it so far before we hit that. So we're.
And what is this weigh? Got to be a couple
165, 175, I believe.
Right at my limit.
So, yep. Yeah, it's my limit. I'll tell you that. So.
Yeah. And then you've got a visible filter here for your hydraulic or your
diesel.
Your diesel fuel.
Yep, diesel on this one. Same visual indicator we've used here with the sight tube, sight glass, 25-gallon tank there.
Yeah. And
then ATF or hydraulic fluid right at 50 gallons. So you can see we put necks on here, just trying to make things easier to get at.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's so nice to be able to get at all this. It's right here. It's not underneath or.
Yep.
And when you go to fill, a lot of times your fill on a lot of machines that a few that I've used, not yours, the fill's like over here. And when you go to tip your bucket up, you can't get it far enough. A few tractors I've run, you can't even get all your fluid out.
Yeah, just putting the necks on them just makes it. I mean, it's just little attention
and having
to
it
detail
out,
things.
have it mounted out is big too.
And it's cool that we've done all this because this, again, going to the wedge storage bracket, this is all stuff that people have been asking for. So it's cool to take that feedback and, especially the prototypes we build on these, pretty much everything that the guys mentioned, we addressed, and we actually brought their machines back and basically gutted them. And we wanted what they had to be production intent. We didn't want one-off machines running out there down the road. So, but a lot of that feedback was incorporated. So that's pretty cool to see. And then 12-volt hydraulic cooling fan here. The first prototypes, we had them just wired to key power. They run constant, but now we got them wired in the engine relay, so it only kicks on when the engine's running. So you don't hear that thing.
Guys are going to ask how many gallon?
50 gallon on the ATF and 25 on the fuel.
That's what I thought. Yep. Nice. And I see you got jack on both sides.
So dead leg on one side,
and a live leg,
and then your live leg, your jack.
Yeah, nice. That way you can get it somewhat level, or at least get it so it's sturdy.
Yeah.
And then up front here, I see you've got a real pretty toolbox here. That is really nice.
So no different than any other machines. You get a toolbox, part of the base machine. Every machine, I owe you an air hose in here. We're supposed to send an air hose with them, but there wasn't one on the shelf. But running lights, spare bar, a couple spare chains. You get a file, your double-ended wrench here for your saw tension, changing bar and or chain.
Yep.
And then winch remote is also in here.
Oh,
So yeah,
cool.
every brand new machine gets a spare bar, 2 spare chains in addition to what's on the machine. So
What's in there for a battery? Is it a 9-volt or something?
it's a good question. I don't know.
I see it's not rechargeable, which I like, because I like to put new batteries in. Because
Yeah,
I don't usually not buy a charger.
We haven't had one yet apart. It
Okay.
does, that thing powers down, so if you hold your red power button, it'll kick on. You'll see the little, you probably can't catch it on camera. It's
Oh,
pretty
I
bright
can see
out here.
green.
Yep.
Yeah, it's green.
And then it's got to have key power to get power to the
it,
winch, so that's got to be on.
Right.
But this will shut off after 2.5. It's not very long, so.
And then to back up, you kind of grazed over it there. Your lights, they're magnetic mount, no wires running front to back.
Yep.
They work remotely right from your hitch, and they work great.
Yep. We really like them. We're looking at some different things there. We found that the new Fords use like a PWM or a pulse width. They send out a signal to make sure the brakes are there and there's not enough resistance in our transmitter that we use, so it causes them to flicker. And we've had some issues, so we're still going to use a magnetic one that's easy to take off, but we might run a four plug out the back and plug into there. I don't know. We've talked about different options, but yes, they are nice. You can grab them.
Yeah, and the thing is, every trailer I've ever had always has issues.
Yeah.
You get the mice, or you get rust or corrosion, or
Yep.
you hook a branch and you pull a wire, and it's...
You wouldn't believe how many people pull them out of there right away and use them for other things.
Oh,
So they're like,
yeah.
yeah, I use that. So yeah, it is nice. And then 2 5/16 ball here on
And
the
I
front
see
of
you've
this.
got it adjustable too, so you can get it to the height you need.
Yep.
That's nice.
Yep.
Obviously your safety chains and breakaway chain. And
Yep. Breakaway switch on
very
there. So
nice.
just a lot of new. There's still a lot of the same simple in this. You know, we haven't gotten away from our roots, but we've incorporated a lot of things that guys have been talking. People have been asking us for a long time.
Yeah.
Log deck tines. That's something that you know, is new on this machine, and then now pretty much new on all the machines. The Legacies we've incorporated in
The
as
longer,
part of a model year change.
yeah, very nice. One thing we didn't talk about at all is your drive here, which it's just it works really good. I mean, for going in and out, it's
Single
Single
chain.
drive,
Yeah, it's got that kind of a dual cleat feature on there. Those edges are, I don't want to say they're sharp, but they're pretty aggressive.
yeah, they
so,
are. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that if you get something really snaky in there, you don't have to manipulate it a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit to get it to
that
touch,
happens.
but it's not, you
That
know.
happens. You get snakes are the worst. Or bananas sometimes you can roll. It's the snakes because they'll hang up. It's just how it's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
I see you've got your stars here for rollback too.
Yep, your log
so-
deck tines. Yep.
And what is it called?
We call them log deck tines. I don't know. Everybody's
So
got a different name. Throwing
You can
stars. And
basically, yeah, stars. Basically, you roll a piece in, and then you can go in reverse quick, and it'll stop a piece, a second log from falling in, which is awesome.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And it kind of does a nice job of keeping a first one in there if you don't necessarily want it, or if you're getting to where you're a lot of the way down and bump that lever, it doesn't just dump it in on this end. So yeah, it's nice.
And you set up to 25 foot.
24 is our advertised.
yeah.
If you get a tapered log, you can go longer than that.
Yeah,
I
if you
think
put the heavy engine first, yeah.
dimension here to the minimum dimension there to where it just won't go any further is actually maybe even closer to 13 feet. So technically 26, but yeah, 24 is a safe.
And then maximum diameter of what you said,
22 inch.
Full
Yep,
22.
and it will do a true 22 inch round through there. So
Right.
it's a big log.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. So this has been out now for how long? Not quite a year?
October is when we
Oh, okay,
unveiled
right,
it to
got
the public.
Oh,
so,
when you were at the Bunyan show.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep, and can't even count how many exactly we have out there now. It's quite a few. There's quite a few of the guys I haven't even heard from that I actually just reached out to this week to make sure everything was all right. And yeah,
And you guys are building them as fast as you can.
we can, along with
Yeah.
this and all the other models. So
Yeah.
no, this is for us. I mean, this has been an awesome product launch for us. We learned a lot from the prototypes. I'm glad that we did what we did. I'm glad we brought them back and reworked them to get the guys current production things. But we learned a lot from them. I'm glad
Sure.
we didn't just hammer down and start, taking orders as is and getting them out there. So, because there's a lot that would have caused frustration.
Sure.
that-
Oh, the one thing we didn't mention, you were mentioning that you change the chamber.
Yeah, splitting chamber is completely different on this machine. So you can see, even from the one at the Bunyan show, we tried to do the same thing at Bunyan with a different design, but you can see we just put a bunch of underneath clearance underneath so that wedge, that
Right.
material pushes away and out.
Right,
and
so
falls
instead of
back
being
easier.
flat, you've got it at a, I don't know what degree angle that would
Yeah,
be, but it's
maybe
sloped.
30, 35.
And I think the width of your elevator is about ideal.
Yep.
It's not too narrow, not too wide.
16 inch, we've sped it up on this machine, especially from, again, going back to the prototypes, they just weren't quite fast enough. They weren't keeping wood away quite fast enough based on the production speed. And then we honestly completely revamped the 16-foot attached elevator. So if you guys looked at the one at Bunyan really close, it's totally different now. We've added a lot more thick poly pieces in there to quiet it. So it actually runs very smooth, very quiet. So
Nice.
yeah, we're just happy with everything. So one thing too, we've got really two big hydraulic blocks on here, and that was something on the old machines where we didn't really have them aluminum blocks. We just had different functions all teed in and all these fittings, and it was kind of messy, and this MSL valve was here, and then we'd have one way over there, and they were different locations. So we got all of those components and functions built into aluminum valve blocks. Nothing earth-shattering by any means, but we cleaned a lot up, and then we've covered things up. We've got the dedicated hose trays in there, so we, not just keeping the wood elements and stuff out, but keeping some of the sunshine and stuff off hydraulic hoses. We know these things sit outside, so I think our team did a really good job at it just makes it look sleeker. It just makes it look
Right,
nice.
well, yeah, like you're saying, it protects it better, number one. Number two, its functionality, it's probably better, so it's easier to get at. So serviceability or maintenance is easier because it's right there. So it's all good stuff, absolutely.
Yep, and the one thing we did on the hose trays from the original one is we oversized them, because the first version we had them hoses stuffed in there, and it was, I'm not saying you couldn't get the cover back on, but you cussed it a little bit. So you can see there's quite a bit of room in here,
right.
so it's easy to get those off and right back on. So the guys did an awesome job all the way around. It's been an awesome machine. It's fun to run. Kind of the direction we're going as a company with a lot of the things we're doing. So this machine isn't just this machine. A lot of what we did on here, and there's other new things coming too, are evolving into some of our new items we're working on down the road. So stay tuned.
I don't know if this is something we talked about. What does this do?
This is our air compressor. So
Okay,
this is
that's
what
the
builds
actual
up our air pressure
Got it.
and the tank. Yep.
Okay.
This is standard 12 volt. Little 100 amp compressor that if you ever needed to, you can buy off Amazon. So,
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
nice.
Again, goes back to our simplicity and not having a lot of proprietary parts on here.
So there you go. We went through, talked about the machine, tried to cover most of the things. Obviously, there's going to be questions that will come up. This is Jake. He's the guy to call. It's called Blockbuster. He can answer your questions. If he doesn't know, Tony would know, because he knows everything.
He does. He's a
And
sponge.
then there's the nerdery. They know everything.
They know what they know. Yeah, we're not going to go into detail there.
So, but what I have found with this company is they're very easy to talk to, and they don't get offended if you've got a problem. They're like, hey, we want to know. That's a good thing. All the stuff that you've covered on here is mainly, we were just talking a little bit off camera, this is for the guy that's ready to pull the trigger on going full-time, or the guy that is just getting into it, that has a market that is huge and is ready to go and start making money. And if you're going to spend thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, you want to know. So for the average guy that has one chainsaw and cuts a few sticks of wood every year, this is probably a little bit more than they want to know. To me, it's still fascinating, but if you're going to go out there and actually make a big investment to grow your business, firewood business, you want to know this stuff.
Yep, this is for that person that's full-time, or they did a couple hundred cords on the side last year and they're killing themselves.
Or they've got
they want to grow the business.
Or they've got an old, slow machine. I'm not going to say the name of it, but I was just recently in northern Wisconsin. The guy had a machine. It was blue and yellow. And they need a bigger machine. It was so slow. The guy told us he does the cones to, I don't know, like 8 feet, and it takes him 5 hours.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a couple cords. And it was a very slow machine. And he had a big business because he's got a lot of wood there. He's the guy that needs a faster machine because you're buying time.
You're buying time. I talked about it yesterday. I'm no YouTube guy, but I did a video back home with the plant and some of the things we've been done to improve efficiencies, to be faster and reduce our lead times. But yeah, you want to be efficient. You want to do more in less time. I mean, that's in everything you do, not just firewood, but
in life.
yeah.
Yeah, we're all limited. This could be the last day for me. I don't know. That's why I want to take advantage and do what I like to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff like this.
But it's, you know, guys can do 1,000 cord a year through commercial splitters and kill themselves doing it, or you can, you know, invest in a processor regardless of different sizes,
right,
and do the same amount in a lot less time.
My brother Ken and I were talking that if it wasn't for being able to use processors, we would be downsizing tremendously at our age. We're both in our early 60s, and yeah, we still want to do it. Yeah, we can still do it, but your body starts telling you you got it less and less. This opens up the possibility to go a much longer period of time doing what you like to do. And I get comments all the time on the channel from guys who are like, I would love to do it, but I'm in my 70s and I just had back surgery, I just had this surgery, and I just can't do it. So I make a little bit of wood and I would love to actually be able to do it. This gives you the ability to save your body and go longer if that's what you love to do.
And I'm not telling you that there's not a market for commercial splitters. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, you know, splitters accommodate these well too. When you're working with ugly wood or really, really large diameter stuff, you can still utilize that. But yes, definitely for the guy that's, you know, doing large volume, yeah, you're buying time.
Yeah, I was just talking with my buddy Tony the other day. We're talking about the differences between getting, like, say, your 1412, which price point is in the 30s, I'm thinking.
Base machine, no elevator, you're 37. Yep.
Yeah, you can buy a big, heavy-duty, massive commercial splitter with an elevator, or maybe not even an elevator, and you're close to that. So in this, you run levers and it...
Yeah, you're not...
And if you get a splitter at that price, it's like you might as well just buy a processor.
Yeah.
And they hold their value.
Yeah, they do. They do. We've talked to quite a few guys that have sold, or we've done some trade deals that, yeah, they've been holding their value.
They didn't lose their money at all.
Nope.
Yeah, I've talked to lots of guys that have processors they bought, you know, 20 years ago, and I'm just going to grab a number. Say they paid $50,000 20 years ago, and they used the machine for 20 years, making a living with it, and then they go to sell it, and it's worth 70 or 80. And they're like, I can't believe it.
3,500 hours on it.
Yeah, and they're like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a good buy. It's better than almost any other piece of equipment, because these things are made to last for decades, literally.
Yeah, man, we still got guys with old B1s and B2s that call us that are, you know, they're using them almost every day. We're talking going on 30 years old, and
they just replace the wear parts.
Yeah, there's not much to them. And a lot of that stuff they can source local because it's, you know, easy, simple. There's not a lot of proprietary parts. But yeah, it's we've continued to do research on this whole firewood industry as a whole, and it's only getting bigger and trending and going to continue to grow. So we're along for the ride. And
I get asked all the time, why is firewood becoming such a big thing? It's two things that are major that I see. The whole homesteading movement. Even if you're not on a homestead, you want to kind of have that lifestyle, so to speak. So you put a fire pit in, or you cut a little bit of wood, and whether you're selling it or just using it for yourself, just getting back to nature. And firewood is one of those things that's so primal that everybody gets it. I shouldn't say everybody. Most sane people get it. It's just a fun thing to do. It is the original caveman TV. That, along with the fact that there's so many people now that have availability to wood, because you could never have wood to burn unless you had property. But now every gas station's got wood. Yeah. And so it's there. You can go buy the materials you need for the fires. The smoking industry of smoking meat is just taking off like crazy. So
pizza ovens.
Pizza ovens.
That's another really big market.
And it's all backyard oriented. So it's kind of almost like creating a livable area outside that goes back to caveman times. You're cooking outside with fire. Or just enjoying it.
Well, there's nothing more renewable than firewood.
No,
I mean, you've told us before, or told me before, and we just talked about it a little bit ago. Yeah, it's cut a tree down and it grows back 100%.
Another one grows back, yeah. I wish we could do that. I cut my finger off, it grows back. It don't work that way. Well, there you go, folks. We're going to do another video. We're going to set this all up. We're going to do some running. It might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, but we kind of thought we would do a walk around with the new machine here, going over it for the guys that are, or girls that are in the market for a new machine, wanting to know the differences. And this is a video that probably will get views for years, because someone looking at getting a machine, if this is a machine you guys have in your lineup for a long period of time, this is going to cover most of the bases.
I'm just going to say right now, because everyone asks, with the way this is option with auto stop last piece, 16-foot attached elevator, right in that 92.5, 93 mark, somewhere right in there.
I knew it was right around 90 something.
Yep. And it's not the only model we offer. So we have
Lots
everything from, you know,
well, your
1412 plus.
1412 is in the mid 30s.
Mid 30, yep.
And then your top of the line machine is at what, 2222? Is that the big
Yep,
one?
1025 is where that one's.
And that's with everything?
That one kind of comes fully featured. So it's got hydraulic downriggers. It comes standard with auto tension. The frame design on that, it doesn't really have a last piece slide tray. It's got a dump. You can make that dump the other direction. And then auto stop is all standard on that one. So that one kind of comes fully featured, but you can add a cab. You can add a cab to this if you want. So.
Yeah. And what's unique, because I've been around processors for a while now, going to the shows and looking at them and studying them and learning the differences, you guys are priced very reasonably, because there's machines out there now that are 200 and plus.
We're trying very hard. We keep, like everybody, we're seeing price increases. Steel's gotten more expensive. Engines continue to go up.
Fuel costs affect everything.
Yep. We are trying to do what we can to maintain, you know, a price point where, you know, a very high value ratio to dollar ratio. And a lot of that starts back in the shop with our manufacturing processes and trying to gain efficiencies and going back to doing more with less. So
yeah, and keeping your machines fairly simple. I see it's not just firewood processors, not just splitters, but other machines out there in industry. Everything's going more and more to electronic joystick operation. And while it's cool and everything, but boy, you open up cans of worms every day with those things. I just know because I've talked to guys.
Yep. Now you're adding more 12-volt harnessing. You've now got solenoids on every valve bank, wire harnesses. So we've looked at some stuff, and we're not against doing it, but we know we will never get away from having an offering like this. It's very tangible. You can see it, hear it, feel it, understand it. You know, it's just easy.
I've talked to several loggers that have the high-end machines, like the Ponzis, the Tiger Cats, and they're great machines, brand new. But boy, when you start having problems, it's almost always electrical. And and they're a pain to figure out.
Pain to diagnose, and parts availability.
And getting it when you want it, and you don't want to be down. And
100%.
That's huge. That's one of the things you got to consider when you're looking at a machine is how easy is it to fix? And what's the likelihood that you're going to have issues?
The realistic question, yeah.
There you go. It's everything I got.
I love it.
Call Jake. He's got the answers to your questions. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. Good night, Irene.